Let's talk about one of America's first documented serial killers, H. Holmes. Herman Webster Mudgett was a smart kid who reportedly liked to kill small animals and was a bit awkward. He grew up and attended medical school in Michigan, where he learned about human anatomy and various chemicals and poisons. It was while he was in medical school that he engaged in insurance fraud by stealing cadavers and presenting them as victims of an accident and collecting on insurance policies that he would take out. He moved to Chicago in 1896, a time when Chicago was to be a place for the World's Fair. And this is where he started going by Henry Howard Holmes. He took a job at a pharmacy, eventually acquiring the building that the pharmacy was in. Holmes bought the land across the street from the pharmacy and built a massive 3-story building that presented itself as a bunch of shops on the first floor and a hotel on the top 2 floors. The rooms in the hotel were actually rooms that Holmes designed himself, and each one had a different method of killing people. The place was designed and built in such a way that Holmes would be the only one who knew its true purpose. The crews he hired to build would only be there so long before he fired them, so no one really knew what the purpose of the building was. When the hotel was finished, it featured rooms with doors that locked from the outside, rooms with trapdoors that dropped into another room with no exit and no air. There was even a gas chamber room and stairways leading to nowhere. The basement had a lab with all of these different chemicals which he used to dissolve the bodies. It also had a crematorium to dispose of remains or to strip them down to their skeletons, which he would then sell to medical schools. As far as his victims go, Holmes preyed on young women mostly, although he did kill some men. They would be employees of his, women that he would promise marriage or a place to stay or a job. He had numerous victims in Chicago, but the ones that are mentioned a lot are Pearl and Julia Connor and Minnie and Nanny Williams. When police in the area started becoming suspicious of him, he left Chicago altogether. His schemes and murders did not stay in Chicago, not even in the country. The crime that would eventually lead to his capture was a fraud scheme involving his friend Benjamin Peitzel. Benjamin was killed in Pennsylvania, and by some string of lies, Holmes was granted permission from the mother of Benjamin's 3 children to travel across the country with them. They ended up being killed, all of them, but in 2 separate locations, with one of them being in Canada. Holmes would be arrested in 1894 for insurance fraud, and an investigation led to the discovery of Peitzel's 3 children's bodies. He was convicted, and while awaiting execution, he sold his confession to a newspaper for $7,500. In his confession, he claimed to have killed 27 people. He was hung in May of 1896 and was encased in concrete because he said he wanted to be, so no one would try to dig up his body. There is a legend I think is worth mentioning that his body count is in the triple digits, but I haven't seen